One, roll the footage.
Welcome,
Hello,
welcome,
hello.
welcome. What's happening, founders? We're all here with Mr. Simon Severino. Simon, what's going on today, man? How are you?
Malone, great to see you. Let's talk marketing today.
Yeah, today's topic, marketing strategy, all the ins, the outs, the uglies, the goods, the bads, and the fun of marketing strategy. We're here for you. By the way, make sure to smash that like button. Share this out to somebody that else might need to know about some marketing strategy stuff. Of course, you got me and Simon here, which combined, we probably have more than, 50 years of experience in doing things like this. So I think this is going to be a great one for anyone that's listening. We're going to dive into marketing strategies, and maybe as a founder that's getting started, or maybe that someone already has a developed business, these are some ideas, big ideas, right? Because we want to talk about the big ideas. With that said, Simon, what's a big win for you today? And then we'll kick the thing off.
You just said combined 50, and I was thinking it's 22 on my side, so it's pretty accurate. Plus, and this is the win, I just got another 55 on top of that, gifted by the universe, just by having a very tight collaboration with Jay Abraham and the Abraham Group. Jay is in his 78 now.
That's amazing.
So he got another 55 on top, and I am in very intense collaboration with him. So some of that is overflowing to me, and I'm an avid learner, so I'm like a sponge. I ask him questions, and I'm learning so much. So I got gifted another 50. We might use them today.
Hey, I love that. Let's talk about that. I mean, like, marketing is interesting, right? One of the I mean, obviously we have some questions to discuss here, but I think if you say a name like Jay Abraham, and for those of you guys that are listening who don't know Jay Abraham, go Google his name, because what you'll find is that he's one of the best direct marketing sales professional. I mean, give a little bit of his bio here, Simon. I mean, he's been around forever. He's helped everybody. So what does he do? What's his super?
He says that he is the breakthrough consultant. So you have a conundrum, a hard to solve business problem. He can brainstorm with you until you solve it. And in those 55 years, he has accumulated some powerful concepts, ideas, and repeatable tools even that are mainly all around how you can use your knowledge, but also your social capital, who you know, and strategic thinking, philosophical thinking, thinking out of the box. And he has hundreds of examples of business owners who had maybe zero audience, but by thinking about, okay, my problem, whose solution could it be? They partnered with other people, leveraged their audience, and came up quickly. And that's also the story of Jay, who right now is partnering not just with us, but also with Tony Robbins, who obviously has pounded billions of dollars and thousands of days into building an audience that now, right now, as we're speaking, Jay is leveraging that audience and helping them solve business problems. Like Tony helps them solve, mindset problems. And so they're a perfect partnerships. He's the partnerships guru in my view.
Yeah, one of my favorite books that I read by him, and you probably won't even be able to find a copy of this. This isn't exclusive. It's the Mr. X book. Do you have a copy of this?
I think I do.
Because this book is Jay Abraham's brain in like one big book here. And what I can tell you is that I started reading the first chapter. I had to stop because there's just too many ideas for me to like go implement. So it's kind of like that. One of those books is where it's almost like a business Bible where you can just leave it on your desk and let it ride. So I think that's crazy. I'm really excited that you got to connect with Jay. How did you initially connect with Jay? That's a great marketing strategy. One of the strategies we can talk about today. We'll just start with this: JV partnerships.
I was just checking if I have Mr. X. I do. Money Making Secrets of Marketing Genius, Jay Abraham. This is one that somebody else wrote about him. He was a scholar and wrote it and said, hey, Jay, I wrote a book about you. Can I publish it? Can we publish it? Another example of a collaboration. Yeah, I just checked because he gave me all his books and it's here. I will read it.
Can't even get it up on my shelf. Yeah, it's a wonderful book, man. It's one of my favorites that I read from or about him. It's just all his lessons, which is great. Okay, so JV partnership, Simon, you are in a partnership with Jay Abraham. And just for intensive purposes, if you were to hire Jay Abraham for 1 day of consulting, I have several friends that have done it. You have to pay him $50,000 to $75,000 for an 8-hour period. This dude knows his stuff. Simon here has found his way into an intense partnership of book writing with Jay Abraham. Let's just talk about that as a marketing strategy for JV partnerships as the first one. First of all, how did you even do it, Simon?
You know, a few years ago, we landed Google as our partner, and everybody was like, how did you land Google? And the story was so simple. I made my Dream 100 list. And on top of that, number one was Google. So for months, this list is lying around, unused, but kind of working in my body, in my subconscious, right? Because I wrote it down. So it does something with you when you write something down. And then I forgot about it. Somebody asked me if I want to give a keynote. I say yes. I go there. It's just 6 people. I'm thinking, should I go back home? Should I go play tennis instead of talking in front of 6 people? I decide to stay there. I give the talk. After the talk, one of those 6 stands up, comes to me and says, I am from Google. We are working with an agency right now to scale agencies. They are not as agile as you guys are. We need a more sprint way of doing things. Would you be open to collaborate?
Boom.
Is it okay if I introduce you to Google? And I said, it's on my list, number 1. Please do it. So that was the Google collaboration.
I just want to stop your story
Yeah.
there. I just want to stop your story there because I think like there's so many great points. Sometimes as a founder, we get exhausted and we have worked our asses off, and all of a sudden there's an opportunity that pops up where you may not think as the founder that it's a great opportunity, but it's how you show up and flow through things that really makes a big difference for your business, right? Like as an example, today I have another one of those similar types of opportunities. There's a young lady who's a big fitness influencer, and she asked me to come and do a presentation. I've never done anything with her before. And I said yes, even though my schedule is absolutely bonkers full. I squished her into my schedule because I don't know, there could be somebody in Google in that audience. And so one of the things that I would just share is when you have kind of that persistent opportunity to like go do something and you have those opportunities, don't say no, say yes. But just remember this, right? Like as you get more and more and more of these things, sometimes you get too many yeses and you just burn out a little bit. But the cool thing is to like listen to how Simon showed up. I mean, he talks in front of thousands of people on average, and this person's like, come talk in front of 6 people. He's probably like, this is stupid. Why would I even do this? But yet he does it. And now here he is with Google as a new client, which is pretty intense. So, okay, talk about Jay Abraham now, because I think that's really important. Simon, how did you meet Jay Abraham? He was on your Dream 100 list. Let's talk about Dream 100 in a minute too. But JV partnerships, how did you get a JV partnership with Jay Abraham?
Jay was not even on the Dream 100 list because I've never thought this. I could make this happen.
Point number 2, nothing is out of reach of anyone. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, keep going.
I do a thing called the Power Hour, which is 45 minutes. We sit down together. I make 3 referrals. You make 3 referrals. We like it. The community does it. I have so because it started in the 200K Club, which is my Monday mastermind. Every Monday we come together and we improve our referral systems. We don't want referrals to be a one-off thing. We want it to be a system, something that happens all the time. Somebody meets you, you ask, who referred you to me? Even if nobody referred you, just to install the idea that we could refer each other. And then you work with somebody, you refer them to somebody that they need. They might refer you back. You work with somebody not just to solve the current problem, but to create so much value that they want other people to have that value, and they will start referring. So from this idea, each Monday we do this, it becomes the power hour. Now my calendar is full of power hours. I like it, but it was pretty full. And so I was in a time crunch. Time value for me is more important than money value. It changed, of course, when I had less money. Time was less important and money was more important. In my 20s, my 30s was different. But now I'm 45. I made a ton of money. Now I need time with my kids, time with my wife, time with my friends. And so the time value of time is now more important than the time value of money in my life right now, this week. It might change, but this week. And so Friday session, my team and I talk, because on Friday we always review the focus card. On Monday, priorities, Friday, learnings. And I say, my learning is I'm in a time crunch. We have to get me out of the power hours. Who can take on the power hours from me? Nobody in the team says I'm capable of this. I'm willing to do this. And we say, okay, the project is, let's find somebody. Let's find a JV manager that takes my power hours. So it becomes a project. We write it down. Find JV manager that takes on 10 plus hours per week from Simon of power hours. And so we created process. The first part is Simon. The second part is Michelle. The first part we want to delegate, which is just a conversation with a new potential partner. We don't know how to do it. After a few weeks, a conversation happens and this person says, Simon, I want to be your JV manager. And I said, we're looking for a JV manager. Come in. And so there was this person, and in her first month, she landed me a meeting with Jay Abraham himself. Himself, not his team. Himself, because she understood. She had a very good feeling that could be a perfect partner. And I said, oh my God, yes. Let's do this. I want to have that meeting.
Yeah.
And she said, of course, yes. Yeah, Simon, you will have that meeting. And so I meet him, and we immediately hit it out of the park. Oh no, wait a moment. The first meeting was I was interviewing him on my podcast here, like I'm talking to you. And so just 45 minutes, I ask questions, he delivers wisdom. After the interview, there is always a few minutes where we chat. And so he says, Simon, would you like to partner? And I played cool.
That's almost like Inception level, man. That's pretty gangster.
I played cool. I played cool. I was hoping for that all the time, of course. I didn't know how to ask for it. And I was glad that I didn't have to ask. And I said, I guess so. Let's explore. Let's put something in our calendar. I was playing poker face because my feeling was, oh my God.
Yeah, of course.
But I said, let's explore. Let's find some time. Our teams can find some time in our calendars. And we scheduled something, and then we hit it out of the park.
That's it. Love it. So I think like the lesson here is like, don't ever think you're dreaming too big. Sometimes it's like the 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon, right? So who knows who that can get you an intro, and then take the shot, because you never know if you're Babe Ruth and you're going to smack it out of the park or strike out. But either way, you tried, you know? And I think that's just it's a phenomenal story. And here's what comes out of something like that. If you win a partnership with Jay Abraham, like Simon just did, guess what that means for revenue in his business? Probably going to go up significantly when they launch this project, which I'm totally excited for you, dude. I think that's amazing. And I also think it increases your status as a legendary sales professional marketer guy in the industry. So just because who you associate with, right? It's what Jim Rohn says. You're the accumulation of the 5 people you hang out with, right? If you start hanging out with a Jay Abraham. In fact, I heard another story about this recently, which I think is really interesting, right? So I was talking to Russell Brunson, and I was listening to him talk to a couple other people. I was in the room, and he was talking about the story where he was hanging out with Tony Robbins, right? So he's done a partnership with Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. It's called mastermind.com. And so he got invited to go to Tony's island. And so Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson are really good friends. And Russell had just achieved $100 million per year software for ClickFunnels, and he was stuck, right? So every founder gets stuck at whatever level, right? And so Tony and him start speaking. And Tony asked him a question. He's like, hey, who are the people that you usually hang out with on a day-to-day basis outside of the people at your company and your family? And he thought about it for a minute, and Russell turned around and he says, well, I hang out with this guy and this guy and this guy. And then Tony says, okay, cool. Tell me about the first guy. Like, what is his business? How big is it? Whatever. He says, oh, it's about 100 million. Next guy. Oh, it's about 80 million. Oh, next guy. Oh, it's about 150 million. And then Tony goes, well, there's your problem right there. And Russell's like, what are you talking about? Like, these guys are mega successful folks. And he said, Russell, you're stuck. You're stuck at 100 million because you're hanging out with 5 people that are at 100 million. They don't know how to get to 1 billion or to whatever number you're trying to grow. So you need to do the work and go hang out with people that actually do $1 billion and start being in that room and start hanging out with those folks, because you're going to learn how they think. Because there's no difference in the ability that a billionaire has versus you listening to this right now. You guys have the same ability. You put your pants on the same way, one leg at a time, put your shoes on, take a piss the same way, right? The only difference is the way they think and the way that they act for their business. And so when Russell realized this, he immediately said, that's right, I totally get it. And he went and he started making friends that had businesses that were way bigger than the 100 million mark. And now, guess what he's doing? He's building an absolute dominant, like, coaching / software / whatever empire he's built now. And so I just think, like, it's really valuable for people to remember, like, Jim Rohn was right way back in all those years. He's like, you're the output of your 5 closest people that you hang with. So if you want to level up, think about that, right? And it's okay. Remember this: people are in people's lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So what is it for you? Think about anybody in your life. Is it your wife? That person better be a lifetime person, you know? So, but yeah, anyway, I think that's really cool. Let's talk about any last thoughts on that before we move on?
I think mindset is really important. I learned one thing from Rick Rubin this week by listening to an interview he had with the A16Z people. He said they were talking about pivoting, and when you pivot, another word for pivot is failure. But if you register it as a failure, you get stuck. And he says, Rick Rubin says, I never fail, I explore. I don't know what failure is. I explore. So I get out there and I push this direction and I push that direction. And then there are people around me, they are pushing this direction and they're pushing that direction, and just looking what happens when you push in this direction. And so sometimes one of them, they push in this direction and I go, oh, wait a moment, you can push in that direction? Then maybe I can push in that direction. Let me try pushing in that direction. And oh, look, this is what happens when I push in that. Oh, no, let's not do this. Let's try that. And so the exploring mindset is something that spoke a ton to me, because actually kids are like that. We are like that. Our nature is like that. But then some other ideologies on top of that bring in, the right thing, the wrong thing, a failure, a success. I try to unlearn all of that and try to stay curious and explorative. And it's, first of all, it's more fun. It's better for your mental health. It's better to hang out with you. It's more fun to hang out with you if you are like that. Because imagine hanging out with Rick Rubin is probably so much fun because he thinks like that. And And then there are other people who are super serious and want to succeed, etc. You don't really want to hang out a ton with them because it's too rigid, right? How does it feel? And so I made a note for myself, Simon, unlearn most of the things. So when you go into a Zoom meeting, when you go into the next day, just go fresh. Unlearn everything. Look with open eyes. Try this, try that. See what happens. What a beautiful, abundant mindset is that, and it's actually easy to do.
Yeah, I really always try to do, like look at things with a fresh perspective. I guess it's some similar way of saying unlearn everything. I like the unlearn everything tagline because it's like if you do that and then you just go in, one of the rules, as you know and as I know too, of professional selling is to act like a dummy on purpose. And I think learning that rule for me, I learned it from the Sandler selling method, right? Of one of the many systems that I studied. And what they talk about is like this dummy curve. And if you are always one step behind or you're acting like you just don't know, what happens is you end up being kind of like the smartest person in the room. It's so weird how it happens, but it's like it's how it always happens. And then the other thing that's really nice about acting like a dummy, and one example, like if you're in a sales conversation and somebody's chatting with you and you say something and then they say, "Oh my gosh, that's a brilliant idea, Simon." A professional salesperson won't keep going. Typically, he'll say, "Wait, what do you mean?" As a dummy would. And it makes your prospect repeat the thing that they think is awesome about you, and it cements it in their mind, right? So, like just going in as a dummy and doing things like that, it makes you actually look smarter, which is everyone says, Sean, that's so counterintuitive. I've been practicing this for nearly 3 decades, and what I can tell you is it works every time. And
It
so I think that's
works.
it
If you
totally
remember
works.
Socrates, he wouldn't teach, he would ask questions. Like the Socratic method is walk with people and ask them a ton of questions.
Yeah.
If somebody in a sales conversation says, oh, Simon, I want to organize my business better, I say, why? Oh, because then maybe I can save 3 hours per week. I said, okay, how much is that for you? Is that a lot? Yeah, it's a lot because, well, then per month it's 12 hours. I said, okay. And do you have other people on your team? Oh, yeah, I have 5 people. So it's 5 times 12 hour per month. And so they get going into changing their situation is so much better than we start teaching, because whenever you teach, you get resistance. But when you ask good questions, you get them going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I love that. I love that. One of the things that I was gonna ask you about unlearning stuff, kind of lost my thought because I got lost in the sauce. But yeah, it'll come back to that one. Let's go back. Let's get back to Dream 100. Let's talk about marketing strategies. Go back to marketing strategies for a second here. Dream 100. What is it? How do you do it?
Forgot who invented it, but it's simple. The original idea was,
Well, it's the guy
think
that worked for
of,
Charlie. The guy that worked for Charlie Munger invented it, right? You read that
doesn't
book?
really matter. Doesn't really
Chet
matter.
Holmes, man. Chet Holmes is the guy.
Yeah. And the question is, who would be needing what you have to give right now? And then he would say, think of 5 people who need it directly, 5 people who know these people, etc. And I simplified it and said, just who are the 100 people that need what I have to give right now? And so I make a list. It's a simple doc with these 100 people that if they knew what I can solve for them, they would be happy to hear it. And I don't think about anything else. Is it realistic, etc.? Is it feasible? Will I get a meeting? Don't start that. Just write your list. You are naive. You are going again into dummy mode. Just empty. Refresh yourself. It's clean slate. It's completely open field. Who needs this? Who needs this? Who should know about this? Who needs this? Who would be a perfect client? And then you make your list. Then my second step is I go to LinkedIn and I actually find them, save the link, and then start liking their content, commenting, creating value. So I start to learn about them. When I learn about them, I can start create value first in the comments. Then I invite them to my podcast. So the steps are then, okay, become a wingman for them if you want them to become your wingman, right? How do great partnerships like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger start? They start because one of them decides to be helpful to the other one and to be reliably helpful over time. Then the other one also falls into that role because it's easy now, because it's happening and you can trust on that. And now you don't let the other people down. This is how decades of a wonderful partnership start.
Love it.
And so I start with that.
I think that's really powerful. I just kind of like, for anyone that's listening, like if Dream 100 is on, like, so this whole conversation started because Simon landed a partnership with Jay Abraham, which is just out of this world amazing. And he did it by following what he's talking about. So he built a list of 100 people that he thought would be dream partners. And then he became their wingman. I like that terminology. And how he became the wingman is he started consuming, he liked their posts, he connected with them on social, he started like commenting to add some value. And I think like kind of some of the next bigger steps that I always take at that stage is, yes, that's very important to do that. But I also think there has to be some sort of a campaign that runs behind it. Right. And I think about like waves in the ocean. And most of the time, the most successful Dream 100 campaigns, because there's a guy named Dana Derricks, if you know, he's a goat farmer turned marketer. He's a really cool dude. And he took this Dream 100 concept. He actually made it his whole core business, and he teaches other people to do it. And one of the things that I had the opportunity, because I'm friends with Dana, I said, like, tell me about all these Dream 100 campaigns you've been running for your clients. And he started showing me all these uber successful Dream 100 campaigns. And I was thinking about like, what's the most common elements amongst all of them? And the ones that work the best follow exactly what Simon just said. Okay. So make a list, go become their wingman, follow them on social, be a little fanboyish, fangirlish. That's okay. Add a lot of value. And then we need to start some sort of a marketing campaign towards them. Right. And so I think about how do you conversate, dominate someone like a Jay Abraham? So then I start thinking, okay, what's his best form of communication? Does he like email? Does he like snail mail? Like Dan Kennedy only takes snail mail. He doesn't even, well, I mean, he might be doing email now, but whatever. And then there's like social media. There's all these other ways. There's cell phones. You can call the guy. You can do a bunch of different things. And think about like a campaign of waves. So the first wave, maybe you just send them a gift box in the mail that has some cool stuff, right? And then like 3 weeks later, you send another thing to them, whether it be through whatever channel. And this idea of like just keep hitting them with wave after wave after wave. So the story goes, Dream 100 was designed and built by this guy named Chet Holmes, who worked for Charlie Munger. Have you heard this story, Simon?
No, but I think if the first step is, and I'll give it back in a second, but if the first step is creating the list, the second is how can you create value? And now it depends on what resources you have. So because I'm a podcaster, I invite them to my podcast. If you are great at building websites, maybe you improve their website. If you are amazing at managing wealth, maybe you manage their portfolio and show them performance. You know, whatever your resource is, that can be now step 2 of offering it to them.
Love that. I think that's super, super valuable. Just to share where Dream 100 came from, Chet Holmes worked for Charlie Munger, and Charlie Munger owned a newspaper. And his newspaper was the poorest ranking newspaper across the entire country of the United States. So he hires Chet Holmes. Chet Holmes comes in and says, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to research. So he did a whole bunch of marketing research, and he figured out who are the companies that spend the most amount of advertising with newspapers. That's it. And so then he said, he came up with a list of about 100 people. This is where the term Dream 100 came from. And the only people he focused on for the next 4 years were those 100 prospects. By the end of the first year, he'd already locked up 33 of them. And that had pushed his newspaper, Charlie's newspaper, from bottom to second best. This is the power of a Dream 100 strategy. Okay. If you want to dominate a market, It's a very fast way. People always talk about other people's money. This is other people's audience. This is other people's opportunity that you can actually jump on and go with as well. So there's a lot there. Simon, unpack it.
Powerful, so powerful. Yeah, I mean, the first shift that's happening right now in this conversation is your mindset, right? You are the last magazine. You might become number two if you just talk to the right 100 people. 100 is not such a great number. If you do one per week, that's 2 years. If you do two per week, that's 1 year. You can do this strategy in 1 year.
And you can even do it faster. I love collapsing timelines. So maybe what we do is, 2 a day.
How do you do
10
it?
a week. Yeah. So 2 a day would be just like in the morning when you start your morning routine, you go to their social, make a comment about whatever the recent post was, talk to them, ask them a question, maybe send them an email, and then don't do anything until the following week. Swing back and hit that guy up in a week, right? And then go to the next one. And if you just do 2 of those a day, all of a sudden you're going to start hanging out and knowing and meeting. Like, here's an example. Brendon Burchard. You know Brendon Burchard? Everybody knows Brendon Burchard. He's one of the best at high performance coaching and strategies. He has worldwide programs. He's counseled all of the big presidents of everybody, like the United States, whatever. He's a client of mine. Sean, how did you get Brendon Burchard as a client? I did the same thing that Simon's talking about. I hit him up on Twitter because I studied where he is most responsive. Twitter. How many messages did it take for me to get in touch with Brendon Burchard? Here's what I did. I started sending him messages. Hey, man, I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up. You're doing awesome. I didn't ask anything. I started adding value. I said, hey, have you ever thought about this or that or this? And he never responded to me. Then I went to Africa. I went on safari and I knew he liked animals. So I sent him pictures of the animals that I was taking from my thing. And I was like, hey, man, this tiger, like, I was thinking of your story with your wreck and you're in the jungle. And like, I know there was tigers there. Like, is this the kind of, actually it wasn't tigers, a lion, but I was like, is this an animal that you've seen before? And then all of a sudden he responded to me like instantly. Right. And that was just being me aware of like what he likes and what he does and where he responds. And then all of a sudden we start talking. He's like, I heard about your tech. Let's set up a call. And then I got on the phone with his operator. Next thing you know, we have a deal with a new client. So that's a Brendon Burchard story. I have so many of those, right? Because I mean, there's a lot of big names. Frank Kern, another one, right? So same. I love Frank Kern. I've been studying that guy since like 2016 when I came into the online space. He's also a client of ours. How did that happen, Sean? Well, I got invited to go to one of the Go High Level events by Sean Clark, who's the CEO of Go High Level, and he says, would you guys come and represent because you're perfectly complementary to what we do? I showed up there and the keynote speaker for 3 days with Frank Kern. I got the chance to go into a dinner with Frank Kern for like a week straight. And him and I became really good friends because I just showed up, just like Simon showed up, right? And so I think that's the big piece of it is like, don't think people are out of your league because they're not.
So great examples. And that you had the awareness to think about what does he want to see right now. It's animals. And most people don't get to that level of detail. They just, they do manifesting. They say, hey, send me Tony Robbins as a partner. But they never think about what does Tony go through right now? How does he wake up? What does he think about? What does he need? Everybody needs something. Everybody. Don't you think the Pope needs somebody to talk? Of course. Don't you think the Dalai Lama needs somebody? Of course. And wherever you are in your career, you're still a human being. You still need help, love collaboration, love having a good time, love growing with fun and with meaning and with the right people. So we're human beings, and you were aware of these things, what he likes to think about, what resonates with him, and that's why you landed the account. Great story.
Yeah. So and there's and again, I think the premise is like dream big, right? Right, just dream bigger. Most people don't dream big enough. So I think that's yeah, dude, just really major props to you, Simon, for like locking a deal with Jay Abraham. I think that's just like outrageously amazing, dude. It's unworldly. It's great. So congrats.
And
That's really
also
cool.
one thing is many people that I know would say, no, I'm not on X. So no, I will not send him an X message. So you're really underestimating the power of, independently of what you think about the founder, this is a space, because I know it's polarizing, but this is a space where people like Brendon Burchard, like Michael Dell, they, like the president of the United States, spend their own time and attention. Whatever you think of these people, but those are the movers and shakers. Those are the big decisions. And if you are looking to connect to your Dream 100, there is a high chance that you can get to them directly via an X direct message, or engaging in a conversation with them over X. Maybe it's also LinkedIn, but maybe this gives that medium a chance, and you think twice just saying no, I'm not on that platform, because look what it can do for Sean, what it could do for your business.
Sure. The last thing I want to cover here as we kind of wrap up this session, and this has been an amazing session. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate it. I've learned a ton. I wrote a bunch of notes here. Is what I would call the in the business time versus the on the business time. And one of the big struggles that I think a lot of founders have is they spend way too much time in the business and not quite enough time on the business. Simon, what are your definitions of in the business versus on the business? How do you divide your time up for that kind of a conversation?
You see how tanned I am? I live in a country that doesn't have a ton of sun, but I am tanned. How is that possible? Here's my trick. Well, of course, my weekends, I'm out with my family and my friends and my kids, etc. But even during the week, today, after my workout, sun was shining, and I said, you know what? I cancel 2 meetings and I go for a walk in the sun. I took my phone out and I started talking to Gemini back and forth while walking in the sun without a shirt, just here in the park, talking back and forth. And I was asking questions on the level that I would ask you or Jay Abraham, and saying, I want to bring this into the world, but I'm not sure if the world needs another product. What does the world really need? And then it's asking me back, okay, which segment, their size, etc. So I was strategizing for 2 hours. Basically, I was not working, right? I was not optimizing anybody's sales. So in my world, that's not working in the business. I'm working only in the business if I'm optimizing somebody's sales processes. And so I wasn't working. I was just walking for 2 hours. Now you might say, yeah, because you're lazy, Simon. Maybe, yes, it's probably right. But also, this is working on the business. And, I came back with some pretty good ideas, and they become projects. And so some of them might work. I think this is important. So first of all, you can do that by walking, which is high energy, with the sun, which is high energy. It's good for your health. It's good for your mindset as a CEO, as a founder. But also, you have a partner to discuss this with 24/7 if you want a partner, and it's almost free. The second thing is, don't ask the questions that your industry asks. For example, my best ideas come from, now I can ask this thing, but before this thing, I would walk around streets and look at other shops, other industries. So I remember vividly, I was stuck with my consultancy. I didn't know how to scale my own time. I wanted really to separate my time from the impact that we have. And I had no clue, because not a single consulting agency has ever done it. Not even McKinsey. So nobody ever did it. I was stuck. And so I go for a walk, and then I see this restaurant with this yellow M. Boom. Other industries usually have ideas that your industry doesn't. The next 2 months later, I was thinking about, why does the software industry have this free trial. I don't have a free trial. Nobody in the consulting world has a free trial. I want a free trial. And so for the next weeks, I was looking at the software industry, like what mechanisms do they implement so that you can try something out? How can I make my knowledge, my tools, something that you can try out for 7 days? And that took me a few weeks of walking around like a lazy, non-working person. But guess what? After a few weeks of doing this, sometimes after hours, sometimes after weeks, sometimes after months, now you get an idea that changes completely your optionality. Now I have a free trial. If you go to strategysprints.com, you can try everything out for 7 days just because I was doing this walks in the sun.
I love it. It's a wonderful definition, and I think like just coming back to the average founder is going to be working their tail off, right? Because when you leave the 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, you start working 80 hours a week for yourself. Crazy, but that's what most people do. So the thing is if you're a founder and you don't have like my coach Alex Sharfin, he was always like, make sure you do a primal walk. It's the same thing in the morning, like 20 minutes walking outside, preferably with no shoes on grass, where you put your shoulders back and you look at the horizon and you don't think about anything. You just get a little bit of exercise, and that frees your mind up for the rest of the day. And a lot of times that leads into those conversations that Simon was talking about, especially if you're doing that. The other thing that I was sharing is most people, let's say if we took an 8-hour work day, most people work for 7 3/4 hours and then take 15 minutes for lunch, and that's that for their day. What I would encourage any founder to do is back that down to like 6 hours of very focused work, and then have 2 hours of work where you're not in the office and you're thinking about how do you actually grow your business? How do you put this? What kind of systems do you need? What are the ideas? And if you start having those brainstorming sessions, now for me, I used to do it. We called it Business Build Thursday. Every Thursday, I canceled all of my meetings and I would meet with my partner, Chris, and we would just do the on the business work for 8 hours straight once a week. That worked extraordinarily well for my first software product. Now we have all the systems designed. So we went into our second software product, and that's the one I'm working on right now. Our Business Build Thursdays are only 2 hours a week now, because that's all we need to grow the thing sustainably. And so that's the idea, is like, so I have business build hours like on the business time scheduled into my calendar. If you don't have it, I would start, and I would do like an hour a day to start, and then figure out if that's a more or less than what you actually need. And eventually you'll come out with like some sort of a cool plan that will just work for you all the time. But if you're not doing the on the business stuff, that'd be the biggest takeaway I take from this thing today.
Yes. If I had to summarize it, really take that time for yourself. You can use your phone because your phone is now a full-fledged thinking partner with you. So use it. It's amazing. It's high leverage task. Don't ask the questions that you are used to ask. Ask, hey, what if a completely different industry owner would look at this? What if the coach of Tom Brady would look at this? What if Steve Jobs would look at this? So come in from other angles. It's easier now with this thing on your phone, and you can have it take different perspectives, and that's a superpower on your phone right now for $20. It's incredible.
I love it. Well, that's going to wrap up our episode of Elevate today. Guys, don't forget, we are here to help founders lift up to the next level, elevating their business. We talked everything marketing strategy from Dream 100, how Simon landed humongous partnerships with people like Google and Jay Abraham. If you missed that, go back and listen to the episode. We talked a little bit about mindset. We got into Dream 100 and some other cool strategies. I thought it was a great session today. And remember, take that time to work on your business versus in your business, and you're going to win each and every week. With that said, can't wait to see you next time. Talk to you then. Bye for now.